Hello, my name is Mr. Chipman. This is 6.12 Wind Energy. I teach biology and AP Biology at Murray High School in Murray, Kentucky. But we're looking at Unit 6 of AP Environmental Science. We have this section and 6.13 to go, and then we will be completing our time in Unit 6, which has been fun. It's been fun learning about all the different things, all the different power generations, like wind power. Wind power obviously works using the wind. This is the old-fashioned windmill, right? But we don't call them windmills anymore because they're not used to mill things. They're just used to create power. So wind turbines is what you'll see typically associated with this. It uses the kinetic energy of wind to turn the blades, which in turn turns turbines, which in turn generates power, which in turn turns on your house with yellow lights while your neighbor has blue lights on in their house. Fun pictures. And that little truck goes by. I love the foreshadowing there, not foreshortening of the wind turbine closest to us on the left side. Pretty neat. This is a more realistic picture, though they do sort of look sort of fantasy-like sitting out there in the middle of the areas. If you've ever driven by or seen them from a distance, it's pretty interesting looking things. The amount of power generated is going to have to do with the size of the blades and all the wind, and there's a lot of different factors that go into this as far as engineering is concerned. Turbines are going to be most effective in open plains, mountain passes, coastal areas where air movement is fairly consistent. You have to have places where there's known patterns of consistency, or you get unknown, or you get inconsistent power generation, which is what you don't want, obviously. This is renewable. Right? We don't have to turn the wind on and off. In fact, we couldn't if we wanted to. Wind is a factor of the solar energy affecting the earth, and it causes wind to blow in some areas very consistently, and capturing that is good. The operation of a wind turbine requires or produces no emissions at all. However, the production of those turbines creates quite a few emissions. Getting the turbines from point A to point B and constructing them and putting them all together, quite a few emissions, right? So they're very expensive to construct and quite environmentally costly to produce. They also kill bats and birds, which you see very graphically reproduced in this picture, because birds and bats have been flying around in these areas for long before we were there and long before windmills were there. And so, yeah, it creates a problem. You don't want to be killing bats and birds, but they do that fairly regularly. Noise pollution is also a problem. Visual impact. For those of you who don't like to look at something like this, I think it's visually appealing, personally. But for others, they may not want to do that. Of course, habitat disruption. These don't just come up in the middle of nowhere. Well, they do, but they require a crew to go out there and do that, and this does disrupt the normal flow of that particular environment, though a lot of them are on farms. Here you show some of the environmental impact as far as production is concerned. Lots of different kinds of metals, and a lot of cost goes into these structures. You can see the scale there with a giant dump truck. They should have put a little person as a dot down there. There's a lot of molybdenum that goes into these. So let's look at some mitigation strategies. Mitigation means to avoid. So what are some strategies to avoid some of these drawbacks? Some of the design of turbines has increased or improved over the years in order to mitigate bird loss. Here's some birds attempting to maneuver this particular structure. You'd think they would figured out, but they don't. Birds have been flying in the same places, and it just turns out that they fly where the wind goes. Well, they use the wind to their advantage, and so we have competing interests in that way. And when we have competing interests with birds, the birds are usually going to lose. And so trying to figure out how to mitigate their disadvantages is going to be best for all of us. Here are some examples. This place is called the Altamont Pass Wind Farm. This is in California, and it was once notorious for destroying raptors. Raptors are things like, well, some of these birds look like they're raptors. They're birds of prey, right? and the turbine design has changed over the years in order to mitigate that, significantly reducing mortality of these animals, which is good for everyone involved. But you can see this is a lot less picturesque than this one is, right? They don't need to use this one on their ad. They should use this one on their ad. You get the idea. This is an example of an offshore wind facility. And again, this is less picturesque. Golly, there's a lot of them out there. This is on the North Sea. Demonstrates how nations can balance renewable energy goals, careful environmental planning. This is very interesting, right? But what is the impact of marine ecosystems? A lot of this stuff is still being figured out. But this is better than digging up a bunch of coal and burning it, theoretically. Anyway, this is one example. Let's look at a practice problem. A region is expanding its wind energy capacity but faces criticism for increasing bird and bat fatalities near turbines. Which strategy would best reduce these environmental impacts while maintaining energy output? So we've talked about some of the mitigation strategies. Let's see if we can find them. Implement radar-based wind turbine shutdowns during peak migration periods and redesign blades to minimize collision risk. This sounds really good. Relocate turbines to urban areas. I mean, no. Replace wind turbines with coal plants. Yeah, that'll do it. That completely mitigates bird collisions. Obviously, this is not a good choice. Limit wind generation to days with high wind speeds to reduce blade motion. That's just not. A is the right answer here. The idea of radar-based turbine shutdowns is really neat, right? And so that would be another mitigation strategy that we didn't discuss. Peak migration periods as well. A is the correct answer. I hope this video was helpful. We have one more section of Unit 6. If you have any questions, please leave me some comments down below. Thanks for watching.